What was that defining moment that you should get into the entrepreneurship journey?
The turning point would be that the day I realized that one operational decision can cost or save a life.
So you feel systems are more important now to execute rather than just have ideas in your mind?
100%, I absolutely agree with that.
So what is one such message that you have for young women entrepreneurs who want to tear open into the healthcare industry? Hello viewers, welcome to the November series of podcasts. My name is Deepak from Leela International, and we have Ms. Lubna here today on board from Hexperts. Her journey, insights and impact has been truly inspiring to the UAE's healthcare industry. Welcome, Ms. Lubna. Happy to host you today.
It's been an honor for me to be a part of this podcast and to support Leela International in any which way possible, because I think you and your team is just incredible.
Thank you, ma'am. What was that defining moment in your career in the healthcare industry in the UAE that you thought that you should get into the entrepreneurship journey?
Good question. So, the turning point would be that the day I realized that one operational decision can cost or save a life. That turned the whole game of how I looked at working in healthcare. So I always thought that I'm going to reshape it, reinvent it. And of course, I've been a part of UAE ecosystem for last 20 years and healthcare system in particular for 10 plus years. So that was the time I realized that it's enough of being an employee and let's change the gears of life now and be an entrepreneur. And that's where I am right now, 1 year down the line, and I think I've made the best career choice of my life.
What are some of the most important healthcare related opportunities which today's entrepreneurs or healthcare experts overlook?
So I feel that, when we talk about Dubai or we talk about UAE in general, we have everything. We have investments, we have infrastructures, we have a great ecosystem. But what I feel the gap is the right execution. So that's where the opportunity lies. Having the right people and executing the right way a particular business is something which will take you to heights.
So you feel systems are more important now to execute rather than just have ideas in your mind?
100%, I absolutely agree with that, because what happens is that people get lost in the facade. I feel that beauty doesn't save lives, it's your system who does. It's the workflows, your compliance, your talents which are in the healthcare industry that saves lives. Aesthetics can come later.
How does an entrepreneurship role look like in high pressure situations where you need to deliver for various reasons of high pressure situations?
See, I think high pressure situation actually brings out the leader in you. And I feel how to handle high pressure situations is that the more calm and grounded you can become when everything is moving more faster around you. Having clarity over chaos, having courage over convenience is something which a leader should have, and that's where you're just going to rule any challenge.
Continuing with the point just that you mentioned about high pressure situations and leader, I'm sure the current scenario of the world where people are talking about AI taking over jobs, AI taking over a lot of work, automating a lot of manual work, how do you think that is impacting the healthcare industry, to be very precise?
So AI is powerful, and I feel technology is never a gap, it's the mindset. So the sooner you adapt the change and rather than fearing it, embracing it and using it wisely will definitely transform any industry, not even healthcare.
And do you see this impacting a lot of healthcare experts' job in the coming time, or do you think it is transforming?
No, it's transformation. How I look at it, it's going to be a transformation. In fact, those who don't know an AI might lose their job, so you better start learning how to master that, because I don't think so AI is here to take up your jobs. It's just going to make it more simpler, easier, and transform it for a better outcomes, I would say. I would look at it that way.
When we talk about healthcare experts and workforce in healthcare, I'm sure Gen Z must have brought in a lot of displacement in our thought processes, how we handle workforce. How do you handle this?
See, I feel I love working with Gen Zs, by the way. And why is that? Because they're fearless. They ask you a lot of questions, not out of rebellion. They're genuinely desire of learning more. They don't believe in unnecessary of hierarchies, which means they meant action, and that's what you need in healthcare. You need action rather than talk, right? But I do also believe that coming from the perspective from like us, let's say, I'm not going to say that older generation, but coming from people, let's say millennials, I would say Gen Zs definitely need a little more discipline and structured and guided approach. With that, they're going to do wonders. But I love working with Gen Zs because they're sharp and they keep me very sharp in my day-to-day.
Okay, I agree. Yeah. So, and the reason why I asked is, Gen Z have brought in definitely a lot of variance in the way they behave, and so does the attrition also adds on to that. So you kind of have to treat them in a specific way which millennials don't require. But yeah, that add on to a lot of
so
chaos.
see, I'll tell you how that needs to be tackled, because see, if you're a true leader, you know how to build a team. Whether it's going to be a Gen Z, it can be a 60-year-old person in your team, or it can be just a 20-year-old. If you are a leader, you know how to create a team. So it doesn't matter. It's just a different perspective. It's different genres of life. They're coming, different experiences. They're coming with very fresh, new mindset. Yet you have a balance of something of in between, and then you have a balance of something which is coming from an older generation. So I think it's all about how you balance them. And I feel that the moment you make a group of people a team, and treat them as an individual and respect their individuality, I think they'll not go anywhere. They would love to work with you.
Very well said. And by the way, our discussion is evolving.
Yeah.
I should admit you're a very good orator.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Now let's get into women-specific questions. What do you think is stopping women to get into leadership roles, specifically in the healthcare industry?
Do you think that women can be stopped anyways, anywhere? But I'll tell you, there are challenges, but it's invisible challenges. There's a lot of assumptions, there's a lot of bias, there's a lot of, still lack of opportunities or platforms rather given to women. But I think once they get the right opportunity or right platform, they show how they rise and grow. So I don't think so. There are challenges, not in healthcare, in every industry, I guess, for women. But I think women are more capable of taking up a challenge, provided they have been given one, and transform it into something more beautiful. They challenge the system and they change the system.
So what is one such message that you have for young women entrepreneurs who want to tear open into the healthcare industry?
See, I would, one message to all the women entrepreneurs is just don't seek validation from people. Create your own competence. Create your own space. Own your own seat if it's not even offered. And just go for it. Follow your dreams. Be very clear. Be fearless. Have courage to begin. That's very important. And especially for women, I always say in multiple other platforms that the God has always given you a message that stretch marks you have is not the stretch marks, they're the stripes of the tigress. So roar loud and roar proud and own your space. I think that's what they need, and rest they know what to do with it.
Are digital health and AI together, are they really making some advancements? Are they just creating another gap? Is the gap being filled at all? Do you think so?
No, 100%. As I told you, the gap is never the technology. The gap is how you are embracing the technology and acquiring and adapting it. So definitely digitalization helps when it comes to patient records, when it comes to a lot of internal communication, patient's pathway journey. It becomes much easier for the clinical part of the healthcare to make a better outcomes. So definitely digitalization, AI coming together will only transform and create better outcomes? I don't think so. Together they are just together. That word itself means the power. So I don't think so. Together they would create any gap or void. It's only on us humans how to use it and embrace it.
Now we'll talk about the scenario in Dubai. What do you think the doctors or hospital owners or even the healthcare experts in Dubai are actually missing out or making mistakes which you think should be corrected for the development of the healthcare industry in the UAE?
Correct. So I think the gap there is exactly to execute. Execution is the gap. I see great minds, I see great visions, I see beautiful infrastructures, but why they're not doing well? That's the question. The answer is because having the right talents inside the ecosystem and to build that ecosystem in a way that you execute your vision. So your vision or ideas can be just ideas and vision if you don't have a workforce who can execute it. So have those talents who have the ownership of the place, who actually feels, have the passion to work. They see opportunity in your organization to grow, build a great team and execute what you're thinking up here, because otherwise it's as good as an idea. So I think execution is a great gap which I feel, and that's where I developed Hexperts, where I want to give the strategy based on reality.
Nice. When you build teams, of course, without having leadership roles being carved in within the team, team doesn't really grow up to a system. You can always hire people from outside who can manage teams. So how do you identify leaders in your team? What are the traits that you look at in leaders, forthcoming leaders in a team?
So I'm very observant with the individuals, those who take the ownership of their work when nobody's seeing them. Individuals, those who work with a lot of integrity and step up again when it's needed and when it's high risk, they take that step with a lot of courage. Those are the team members are ideal for being leaders for the future, and that's how you groom them and grow them, and then everything is just upwards and onwards.
Amazing. I like the point that you mentioned.
Yeah.
The members behave when nobody's watching them.
100%. But there's always somebody watching, and that's the leader. So it's not that nobody's watching. They think that nobody is watching, but there's always been a watch. And that's where you pick up the right talent from the pool of people.
Yes.
And I always believe also that not everybody is born leader. You need to play on people's strength. If a person is an introvert who is better doing a desk job, if you're going to put that person in front of 10 people to handle on reception, you won't not take out the 100% potential of that person. But that doesn't mean that person doesn't have the capabilities. It's just that it's a different space the capabilities lies in, So you need to understand, play on the strengths, and I think if you're a leader, you're going to groom the weaknesses. So.
Amazing. How do you see Dubai's healthcare system 10 years from now?
Oh, Dubai, or I would say rather UAE, we are a global prodigy, I must say, for the world to see in future. We are very tech-led, we are patient-centric, we are innovation-driven country. So I think in next 10 years, we'll create a model that world would study.
What is failure to you? What are the shortcomings of failure, and do you think a person should ever go through a failure?
See, my take on this is very different. I feel failure is not the opposite of success. It's a part of success. And I don't like this word. It's always challenges. You never fail. There are always challenges in life. You overcome them.
Okay.
Failure is a very negative word. Yes, you can fail, but then I would rather say that there are challenges when you move in life, or in personal life, or in professional life. The moment you rename the word itself, there is a mindset change which happens. Failing means you're failing. Like how we've been told in school, you failed.
Yes.
You know, it's a challenge. You might not be good in this subject, but it's a challenge for you. So overcome it. The moment you term that as a challenge, the whole eagerness of overcoming it, and you take it in a very different stride.
Okay.
So I think it's a part of your success story. So I don't feel that it should be taken so personally. You fall down, you get up, you rise again, and every time you get down, you get up, you rise again, and you move onwards, upwards, forwards. That's how you should take it up.
Amazing. So you are redefining this word as from failure to a challenge.
100%. You should. There is nothing called barriers or failures. It's always challenges and opportunities.
Amazing. A lot of it, is said and understood about African markets. People claim that it is an untapped market. From a healthcare perspective also, Africa has had a fair share of issues from a healthcare perspective. Name it the COVID, or you name the diseases that have gone through. What do you see African market as such from a healthcare perspective?
See, firstly, I think this is our perception that it's untapped market. I think intelligent people are already there and making a lot of business out of that continent in itself. So, yes, apart from COVID and other things, Africa as a region suffers from variety of number of issues because of their economic conditions or their healthcare infrastructure. Their women healthcare is women health in general is for a toss. There we have done camps in Africa, and all the giants, they have their command centers in Africa. And if somebody is saying that, so people do make money out of such places. However, what we at Hexperts are trying to do is that not to just drain the economy out of Africa, we are doing the infrastructure and capacity building within the country. So we are telling them that, you know what, those who can afford and spend can come into different parts of the world. They can go to India, they can come to UAE, but there's a huge population which is there and cannot afford that, and healthcare is for all. It's a basic necessity. So why not take healthcare inside Africa, those who cannot afford it? So the whole idea is to bring in the A-lister doctors to their region, train their own junior doctors to come up to that level. At the same time, the infrastructure or the healthcare or a hospital infrastructure to be upgraded in a way that if you need to do a complex cardiac surgery, is your hospital equipped enough to do that? If not, then we are there to help you to make it a center of excellence for cardiac. So at least people, those who cannot afford, or the governments, those who are sending their patients out and paying huge bills, can at least be inside the country. So it's not only coming out of it, you need to do something for the land itself. So that's what we do.
Excellent.